Ahem. What I will tell you today is not just a tale, it is a truth that walks barefoot in the heart of life. In this world, the tree you refuse to water when it is small may one day be the only shade you can hide under in the heat. Long ago, in the lively village of Umuaka, a place where the air smelled of fresh palm wine and ripe mangoes, lived a young woman named Adaeze. Adaeze was gentle like the early morning rain, and her heart was warmer than the evening fire after market day. But life had not been kind to her. She was pregnant, carrying the child of her late husband, Chukwudi, who had been taken away by sickness just 2 months after their wedding. With no family left to call her own, Adaeze's only companions were her unborn child and the hope in her heart. She lived in a small mud hut at the edge of the village, its roof patched with old palm fronds that trembled when the wind whistled. Still, she worked hard. Every morning you would see her at the stream with other women, balancing a clay pot on her head and a basket of vegetables on her hip. She sold these in the market, earning just enough to buy garri and a pinch of salt. One fateful afternoon, Adaeze's world shook. She was returning from the market under the blazing sun when her legs grew weak. The pregnancy was heavy, and hunger gnawed at her belly like a stubborn goat. She stumbled to the roadside where a group of villagers sat under the shade of an udala tree, sharing palm wine and roasted plantain. Among them was Obina, the wealthy palm kernel trader, Ngozi, his sharp-tongued wife, and Ifeanyi, the boastful son of the village chief. They laughed loudly, their voices carrying in the hot air. Adaeze gathered courage and greeted them. "Biko, my brothers and sisters," she said softly, "please, can you spare me a little water, even if it is just a cup? I have been walking since morning and I feel faint." But Obina only raised an eyebrow. Adaeze, you should learn to plan yourself. We all have our troubles." Ngozi hissed. "Pregnancy is not sickness. Did we ask you to marry a poor man? Why can't you work harder instead of begging?" Their laughter stung more than the sun. Adaeze's eyes watered, but she said nothing. She quietly turned away, her legs trembling. That day, the world showed her its back. From that moment, gossip began to trail Adaeze like a shadow. In the market, Ngozi would whisper loudly to anyone who cared to listen. "You see that one?" she would say, pointing subtly at Adaeze. "She pretends to be humble, but she's just lazy. She thinks her sad story will make us give her food for free." Soon, others began to treat Adaeze with the same coldness. Even the women she fetched water with stopped sharing jokes with her. Life became lonelier, but Adaeze, she was like the tortoise. She might walk slowly, but she never stopped moving. She still went to the market, still greeted everyone with a smile, and still prayed for the child in her womb. Months passed, and one stormy night, Adaeze went into labor. There was no one to help. She beat down on a rag to stop herself from screaming too loudly. Rain hammered on her roof, leaking through the old palm fronds and soaking the floor. But the gods saw her tears. By dawn, she held a baby girl in her arms, tiny, beautiful, and full of life. She named her Chimamanda, meaning, "My God will never fail me." From that day, Adaeze's strength became her armor. She raised her daughter with discipline and love, teaching her to greet elders, to share even the smallest morsel, and to never repay evil with evil. As the years rolled by, Adaeze found work as a cook in a small canteen owned by a kind woman from the neighboring village. Her food was so delicious that travelers would stop just to taste her spicy jollof rice and tender goat meat. One day, a city businessman who had stopped to eat was so impressed that he offered to sponsor her to open her own restaurant in town. Adaeze accepted, and in time, A small roadside eatery grew into Chimamanda's kitchen, a well-known restaurant chain across the region. It was during the Harmattan season, years later, that the twist of fate arrived. On a busy afternoon in her main restaurant, Adaeze was in her office when a waiter rushed in. Madam, madam, there's an emergency. Some people have just been brought in from a car accident. They are badly injured and need help. Adaeze hurried outside and froze. On the ground lay Obina, Ngozi, and Ifeanyi. Their car had skidded off the road on their way from a wedding. Dust clung to their fine clothes, and blood trickled from cuts on their faces. They looked weak, scared, and helpless. For a moment, memories of that day under the udala tree flashed in her mind. The mocking laughter, the words that pierced her like thorns. She could have turned away. She could have walked past just as they had done to her. But Adaeze's heart was not built for revenge. Quickly, take them inside, she ordered. Bring water, hot soup, and call the nearest doctor. She personally washed the dust from Ngozi's face, helped Obina drink warm pepper soup, and covered Ifeanyi with a blanket. When the doctor arrived and treated them, Obina looked at Adaeze with shame in his eyes. Why? Why did you help us after all we did to you? He asked in a trembling voice. Adaeze smiled gently. Because, Obina, I am not like you were. Kindness is not a debt. It is a gift we choose to give, even when it is not deserved. From that day, the story of Adaeze spread through Umuaka and beyond. Obina and his family publicly apologized to her, and though she accepted their apology, she kept a distance. Chimamanda's kitchen continued to grow, employing many villagers and feeding the poor every market day for free. Adaeze became a symbol of dignity and compassion, a reminder that life is a wheel that turns and today's beggar could be tomorrow's savior. Well, my dear listeners, the calabash you kick aside in the morning may be the same calabash you need to fetch water in the evening. Never look down on anyone, for the hands you refuse to help today may be the same hands that will pull you from the pit tomorrow. And so, my people, if this story touched your heart, let your fingers speak. Like, share, and subscribe so that more people can sit by this fireside with us. May your kindness return to you in double measure, and may you never lack a helping hand in your own time of need. Thank you for listening, and remember, the heart that gives is the heart that lives.